The bizarre fall off of gaming. From childhood nostalgia to cheap, affordable, and accessible games, to a supportive and funny community with feedback, to even the authenticity of the content produced, here are the top reasons the gaming industry has seen a lot of negativity and stagnation. One of the primary reasons for the switch in gamers' mentality is the nostalgia factor. These memories bring us back to a different and almost simpler time. Games were new, they were captivating, and they were also a great source of entertainment and communication. Part of the reason nostalgia is important is because it makes us question what made us feel that way. Was it the game or was it current events? Or was it even just an odd phenomenon to never make another appearance? I believe this nostalgia was called by a multitude of things, such as the simple fact that it was during our glory days, our sweet youth. We crave that feeling again, or the memories and bonding moments that we would share with our friends. Another reason is because we've simply grown up and are faced with other priorities, goals, tasks, or hobbies like playing sports, school, or even working. The expenses. Gaming has increased the cost and shifted into more of an expensive hobby. Gamers are often faced with the price gouging of greedy corporations that intentionally raise the price of certain things, such as in game currencies or cosmetics. However, the worst of the worst is the subscription services that almost all games offer now. You're constantly pouring money into a game that you have already paid for to have cosmetics or things that help you keep up with the meta. The issue itself isn't the fact that there is a plethora of purchases, it's the fact that they make you subscribe to gain access to more things. When you make a subscription for any service and any game, it costs a lot of money, especially considering the prices of these services ranges from $5.99 to $20 even. And that's a month in US dollars. And considering the fact that the average consumer is playing a multitude of games, they're pouring money into many different pockets, which keeps the rich corporations on top and the indie games on the bottom for the most part. Which perfectly segues us into the next topic: authenticity. What was once a strength for gaming is now one of its biggest weaknesses. I'm talking about the authenticity of games and the art of the game development itself. Although indie games are still very played and popular, there's a large amount of people to never touch the indie games. There's a reason for this. It's because they've been so used to playing the rinsed and repeated games for the last couple of years. Indie games have lifespans, but nowhere near the lifespans of games repackaged by large companies. For example, most sport games are repackaged games with different rosters and a very slight change in the mechanics. Call of Duty always has good campaigns, for the most part, but now also lacks in the creativity department when it comes to the multiplayer. Why is it that they do that when they could just create something new? The answer to that is quantity over quality. They've realized that if they can repackage the games, a large portion of consumers will still buy the games and play them. And not only will they play them, but they'll buy in game purchases like cosmetics or different characters, or even worse, subscriptions. Gaming companies are way too afraid to step outside the box because of how openly pessimistic the consumers are. And that brings me to my fourth and final point: the community. One of the key components to gaming not feeling the way it used to is the overly aggressive and pessimistic nature of the consumers. Although old Call of Duty lobbies and other games lobbies were aggressive and brutal, it was different because the people didn't care as much. They were having fun. It was the escape from reality and all of the responsibility. So who cares if someone's yelling profane things at you? What I mean by the aggressive nature isn't that people weren't aggressive then, they definitely were, but it's a different kind of aggression now. People sometimes actually intend to inflict harm on others or even worse. This is proven by the fact that people do things like doxing or swatting. It almost seems like people are forgetting what consequences are. And that's not even it. People don't just hate on the other players, they berate the gaming companies and always expect the most on a silver platter. People have forgotten how actually difficult it is to create a new game, which has scared a lot of developers away from it. Hence the repeating of the cycle and repackaging. If we as a community could collectively share constructive criticism and feedback, then maybe we'd see the difference in gaming we wanted. Sometimes we're too quick to jump the gun and say it's boring without actually seeing what it has to offer. Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, that concludes my first video. I hope you guys enjoyed, and if you did, make sure you like and subscribe. If you actually liked it, that is. And if you want to see more similar content, make sure you comment down below. I also do music on my music channel, so make sure you check that out. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.